Hope the stream link has picked this up. Going one final time. Oh, looks like we're getting going early. Beautiful. Beautiful. Nikita is finishing his race in about 15 minutes time. Interesting. So he's not going to have a real good go at qualifying today then. Like again, interesting for the title race. It sits at 15 points advantage right now for Nikita, which means that there's going to have to be a 15-point swing in the favor of Boba tonight. We know over the last couple of weeks that Boba has not been a great qualifier. That's a certain. All right, we head into the final qualifying of the season. Let's see what the group have in store for us today, eh? Put the full track map on, the telemetry on, everyone will be on soft. It is qualifying after all. So we've got 18 minutes of qualifying. And then a half race distance to the end. 28 laps of Bahrain will decide who will be champion of season 19. Alright, let's see, we've got a couple of drivers out on track now then, and it's both the Aston Martins to start with. We'll see how everything is going to unfold in this qualifying session. One of the Alpines, I think that is. Oh, no, yeah, it is the Alpine of the Frosty one. We're going to be on the track now as well. We're actually joined by another Alpine for the first time. Got anonymous in the race for others. AJ14's been moved to Red Bull. Chris has stayed in his McLaren, who's been qualifying fantastically recently. Boba and X90G both in Haas's. We'll see how everything unfolds going forward. Just watching the first of the Aston Martins, however, come to the end of their flying. Oh, at the end of their not qualifying lap, the outlap, sorry. They're about to go into their first flying lap. Not like that, you're not. Not like that for Jagdi. Awful final corner. I can't imagine it being a good first lap. Available for him here. Even the next X90G. See realistically how this is going to work out then. Jagdi just about keeps that valid, was playing a little bit dangerous with the white line there before we even hit turn 4. 28.3 in the first sector. It'll be purple for now because he's the only one to go over the line at all. Not sure what Prezemu did. What about the Mercedes of MCFC? I'm not going to get a good enough look at it to find out. Frosty 1 is the next one over the sector mark. Is it next one over the sector mark? I think he is. Everyone else on an outlap. Put it because perspective 29.1. So it is a little bit better for Jagdi than it is for a couple of the other people on a lap up to right now. Let's see how that continues to unfold. He's in the middle of the third sector now. Here we go to the line with Jagzi, who qualified well last week. It'll be a 28.5 to start off then. That is the benchmark put down. Is there going to be someone able to beat it straight away? Prademu not even close. And MCFC won't be that close either. In the 30s, a 30.5. Imagine it need to be a lot better than that. Rusty wanted the next one over the line then. Like Busty one on the 29, 30, 30.4. It's good enough for second for now, but the Massacre to the 28.6. Jaguar takes the lead by 7 thousandths of a second. A couple other drivers coming up to the line. It's Wicked, then it's Tichy. Wicked just did a 29.7. Tichy next to the line then. 31.0 for Tichy. I want to see what Chris is doing though. That's the big one. Especially the last couple of weeks in qualifying. Not so much in the races. Races haven't gone the plan, but the qualifying sessions have been spot on. This one not so much. I think that's Anonymous, the next one over the line. It is. Anonymous drops right behind Chris there into 7th. So X90G to the line is next then. Also Nakuza will go as well. 2 3 without a lap time. I believe Lucky High One has a penalty of some sort. Even though he just challenged himself not to qualify. X9G 29.3 puts him up in a 5th right behind Boba Fett, who only did a 28.9. 4 tenths of a second almost to the dot behind the lead driver. Bearing in mind 15 points and the level of countback that Nikita has so far at this championship, which realistically makes it 16 points. Means that it has to be second or higher. It has to be second or first for Boba. And that is providing there is 0 points scored by Nikita, who will be joining us in a short while. Nakuza 28.3 there. Up into provisional pole in the Williams. We'll see how everything continues on. Just messaging in the Discord 1 second. Alright, so that's 14 of the 15 drivers has set a time. Nikita will join us right at the end of qualifying. We don't know whether or not he'll be able to put up a lap time at all. He might have to start from the back, which will make things just a little bit more interesting. Okay, we've got Nakuza just about to roll up to the pit lane here. And a couple of people back out onto the track then. The first one of them being Prazemu once again in the Aston Martin. Alright, Prazemu on track. We've got a few people out for their second laps now. Prazemu will be the first one of those. Then it is Lucky High One, who's actually just waited a long time to go out for his first run. And your MCFC after that. And then the Racing Bull of Massacrator. And then Jagsy. And then Frosty One. So we'll go back to Prademu then, as he is about to be the one to start a flying lap, just going over the line there. We'll see what he can do. 31.183 was the first time. He realistically going to want to shave about 2 seconds total off that, if he wants to be remotely competitive. Wicked doing a 29.7 really puts the level of where he should be on the table. If you're Prademu and company, you're not looking to be behind Wicked Profit. So that's the benchmark that they're looking for at the very least. He is 3.5 tenths up in the first sector. That will only take him above Tichy for now. Looks like traffic is brewing in the first sector, which is never a good sign when people are on laps. That's getting out the way of Prademu here, as he comes towards the end of the second sector at the end of the straight. Let's see how far up he is compared to where he was last time. He is only nearly 4 tenths of a second up. He is going to have to find a lot of time. A lot of time in that situation, because it is not going too well for him at this point at this juncture in the session. You can imagine that there's not going to be too much time to find in the third sector overall. He actually does find almost double the time, up to 6 tenths of a second, but it does keep him behind MCFC, who's actually about to go to the line himself, and he is currently 8 tenths of a second up. Would drop him in and around Wicked Profit, which is where the margin I expected someone like Prademu to have gone for. Using the slipstream of the Williams, it is a 29.4! Lucky high one right in front of him. And Nakuta as well. Massacre 28.4 over the line now. Oh, that dragged in a wall. I'm not entirely sure how the hell you ended up way out there. Bahrain, to be honest with you, that's going to cause a lot of damage to that front wing. I can imagine he's going straight back into the pits. I can't imagine him wasting any time whatsoever with that. He is all over the place. At this point, it is not good news for the Aston Martins at all. It is not going their way in the slightest. Here we go to Wicked Profit then. Oh, no, it's not Wicked Profit, it's Chris, so he's about to start his lap. Who is the guy behind him? It is Frosty One, who is 13.5 seconds down to, again, nothing really going for another driver in here, and back into the pits he goes, with a Haas basically about to storm over the line. Actually, nope, not storm over the line, because it's Boba who's gone into the pits. Prademu behind him has gone into the pits. X90G is the next one up to the line, and he's currently down 3 seconds, so I can imagine this is just going to be a run for him now, starting his lap from here. And that's Lucky High One in the background, who's about to go into the pits himself, I think. No, actually, he might have kept going. Nakuda 28.2. Both the Williams did keep going. It is a 28.2 for Nakuda at the front, and Wicked Profit just put up a 29.3. Puts himself up in a 6th. Yeah, very interesting now then. Ben Jaguar the next one over the line. If he is, it wasn't much of an improvement. We'll see how the things continue on X90G there. I believe that is Wicked Profit. No, it's not Wicked Profit next to the line, so we will go back to Chris then. See what he could put up. All the way to the line. He goes. It's a 29. It's a 29.5. That puts him into 10th. Not finding the pace he's had over the last couple of weeks in qualifying. X9G is backing out of his lap again. Is that Lucky High One behind him? It is Lucky High One behind him. Can't imagine this is going to be too great in terms of a time for Lucky High One. I would very much assume this is a pit stop. Incoming, it is. In comes X90G as well. Nakuda almost certainly coming in at the back of the field. Well, the back of the field in the shot anyway, in the front of the field when it comes to the qualifying session itself. Go Anonymous. Would have been quicker, realistically, I think. We'll wait and see if he can put up a quicker time later on. Tichy to the line now then. Up half a second, and he'll jump back above Prezemu, who really needs to get his act together now in terms of finding time. It's 0.6 of a second for AJ. It's an entire second, and that takes him to 12th, and the Aston Martin has been dropped to the back. Imagine Chris is going into the pits, and we are very much in the situation of qualifying going to just dull down a little bit here before the standoff at the end. Zemu is currently out on the lap edge, and Tichy is probably going to end their their laps by coming into the pits, especially for Tichy. We'll see if there's going to be any sort of room for improvement, potentially. We've got Prezemu on the lap right now. That is Tichy in front of him. Is it Tichy in front of him? Is that MCFC in front of him? No, it is MCFC in front of him. Prezemu up a quarter of a second in the first sector here. Nikita is in the lobby and potentially going to get one shot at this. When the yellow flags died down, I can tell you how much time he's going to have to get his one shot away. Don't forget, Boba is currently 5th. That would not be enough. Even if Nikita didn't put a lap time in, didn't race, if it was 5th for Boba by the end of the night, it would be Championship Nikita. Also, potentially be Championship Jaguar and Yarlo in the Constructors if it ends as it is. Don't forget that is a two-horse race there. Jaguar unfortunately going alone again tonight against Prezemu and Boba. Zemu to the line has got to find some time. 29, 30, 30, 0. It's a 12th place for him then. The MCFC behind him. The only other one on a flying lap, so we will watch the Mercedes, who will need a couple of drivers to get out the way and get out the way quickly. The Aston Martin just went off the track at turn 1 to make sure he did. Now he's going to use the slipstream of the Racing Bull, who did get adequately out the way. MCFC 29.435 to start with. If he can get himself into the 28s, he'll be pushing the top 5. He is currently half a tenth up. That will be pushing X90G. It won't be doing too much damage to that top 5 as it stands. He could get himself 6th ahead of Wicked Prophet, which he's doing a lot better than I would have given him credit for in this session. And it looked like MCFC backed off. Okay, so MCFC backed off. Who is the next one on a lap? Closest person to the line on a lap right now, X90G. By the looks of things, is that driver. Alright, let's see where X90G's got in the tank. Let's go into the end of the second sector. It's 2.5 tenths up, so it looks like he's going to try and dip into the 28. It's going to be relatively close in terms of whether or not he can hit the 28. Should get ahead of Wicked Prophet unless he makes a mistake in the final sector here. We are done for the session. That is clocks going triple zeros. X90G to the line then. 28.9. 5.1 is an identical time to Boba Fett in front of him. Nakuda 28-0, just improving again. Wicked to the line here, not improving. Neither now being behind, not doing too much damage. Anonymous 28-7, Lucky High one, half a second up, puts himself in 8th. The Mercedes behind is Titchy, but it's not going to do too much of anything whatsoever. Nikita to the line now then. What can Nikita do? Is there going to be a moment of madness here that puts Nikita to the front? 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 28, 3, and it's second. At this point in time for Nikita. Boba, half a second up. That'll only be good enough for 0.5 though. Jagdi, within half a tenth of Nakuda, beats out Nikita. Boba, not able to do the same. Boba will start behind Nikita then. Jaguar over the line in 6th. Massacrator gets second. Oh, the front 3 separated by barely anything. MCFC goes over the line, improves as well. He's up into 11th. That is extremely interesting at the front. 30 thousandths of a second between Nakuda and Massacrator. Jagdi in within half a tenth as well. And then Nikita and Boba, the Ukrainians, 4th and 5th. There's your title fight right there. 4th and 5th. If Nikita, well, if Boba wins this race, gets to 25 points, Nikita needs to score 10. You get 25, 18, 15, 12, 10 would be 5th. 5th would be enough if Boba wins the race. So if Nikita ends 5th or higher, the championship is over. It is a good qualifying from Nikita, given the fact that he only got one shot at it. He beats out his championship rival straight away. Alright, now we get to see, and we just get to wait a little bit before everyone gets to the grid. It's 28 laps to the line, and Nikita is in a very, very strong position to get his team over the line. Oh, to get himself over the line, rather. Boba and Prademu still front runners for the Constructors' Championship as it stands. Championship in the Constructors separated by 10 points. As it stands, with the way this qualifying went, it's pretty much going to be straight heads up between Boba and between him and Jaguar for that. So there will be 3 people in this race with a lot to play for, hoping for mistakes from another. They all start in 4th, 5th and 6th. That's essentially the main focus of this race. Nakuda and Massacre will try and fight for the win, save for Jagsy, all separate by half a tenth rather, earlier on in qualifying, but they're not our main focus tonight. One championship is currently set up with a 15-point difference. The other set up with a 10-point difference. The chasing team, however, a man down. Race strategy suggests a 2-stop. Did anyone follow that? And it looks like Jagsy and MCFC might have by starting on the soft tyre. X9G, the only other one on an alternate strategy, starting with the hards. Everyone else on a medium to start with. It will not rain here tonight, so that will not be any that will not play any factor in how this eventually ends. We'll see realistically what is in store for the 28 laps we have in front of us. Front row, Nakuza and Massacrator. If only they'd been doing that all season, is what they will be thinking coming into this one. They know they have essentially the Sharks behind them, though. Massacrator already pointing to the side of Nakuza. Nakuza trying to respond in kind, pointing his car toward the middle. Oh, and he got himself disqualified on the grid as well. Jaguar, Jagsy, both of them botch it. Well, three of them have botched their starting grid. And all of a sudden, it's slightly advantage to Massacrator in this one. Tyres won't be as cold. The start not as good. Well, will be closer to the start-finish line as well than what potentially he would have bargained for. And he gets himself pointed across to Nakuta straight away. As we get going here with 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. It lights out, away we go. Who's getting the better start? It turns out the answer may not have been Massacrator. Nakuta off straight away. Oh, and there's already a crash. Jaguar's out of the session. Jaguar's literally turned upside down. Boba's crashed as well. What the hell is going on? I don't know. Are we under safety car conditions straight away? What the has just happened? I don't know what's going on. Everyone's slowing down. I'm confused. Help. I think Jaguar is dead. I think Jaguar is very, very dead. Are we under safety car conditions? No one can overtake. No one's trying to get away. No one's going further than third gear. BSC maybe? I don't know. I really... What? What? I don't know what to say. I think we're going again. I think it may have been BSC because we are green light again. I don't know what the hell just happened. Something happened off the start there. This is where the point I really wish that replays existed on this game. Because I don't know what the hell just happened. I think Boba and Jaguar hit each other off the start. That's what I am under the impression of. Boba's going to get himself a couple of positions here. Puts himself back in a 13th. An absolute catastrophic start to the race. Given the fact that he has to win. Realistically, to stand any form of a chance. And now he's got to go through the entire grid to do so. The championship for the constructors is over. We didn't even get 100 yards off the line before that happened. I'm just wildly baffled at what the hell just happened. What did I just witness? Was not expecting that to start with. Here comes Wicked Prophet trying to go after Jaxi. The game now thinks there's a possible 2-stop with 2 sets of mediums and a 3-stop if you're on the softs. The more that things that happen, the more confused I am. To be completely honest with you, I don't really know what I'm witnessing. Nakuta has got himself almost an entire second clear of Massacrator with all the carnage. There's Nikita after that, then Jagdi, then Wicked, then Anonymous, and then X90G in 7th, Lucky High One in 8th. Anonymous is very much the bottleneck. Everyone has dropped off the back of Wicked Prophet in the top 5. That's not a sentence I expected to say today. X90G on the inside of Anonymous. Two know each other very well from GT. Lucky High One goes to the inside of the Alpine. The Alpine starting to struggle just a little bit, losing out another place. With MCFC on the inside, Nikita has gone up against Massacre as well and got that position. Up in a second for Nikita. Boba is currently in 12th. one thing's for certain, I think one of the championships is dead and buried. That was one of the starts of all time. There you go. We're still watching a couple of the mid-pack fight it out. X90G is the leader of this group. He has tailed off the top 5 though. Lucky High One is ahead. Yeah, Anonymous dropped all the way to 9th in the slot. Chris is right at the back of them there. Boba has got it past his teammate. You can only assume that was well and truly an organised switch to get Boba out in front as soon as possible. Bearing in mind, Jagu can't score, so this is no longer about the championship for the constructors. They win that by at least 10 points. Even if it is by an absolute mess of a start. Well, Lucky High One and Massacrator are technically only 32 points back. That is technically achievable. The only problem is one of them's going to have to win this race. For that to be realistic at all. Oh, we got someone facing the wrong way, and that is Anonymous. Facing the wrong way on track with Boba on his inside. Anonymous rejoining the track, and Boba will take 10th. And your championship leader than the constructors are on the board. Prezemu is ahead of Tichy, who's now ahead of Frosty. And Tichy is going to drop. They're back behind the Alpine and still ahead of AJ, who's at the back and not having a great time in the slightest, missing a front wing. Anonymous on the back of Boba at the moment. Boba needs to get to the McLaren as soon as possible so he doesn't lose too much time. He is already quite tailed off the front. However, Lucky High One also still in that situation. We had the timings wrong just a little bit there. Wicked still attached to the front 5. Bear in mind, Lucky High One is in 6th, Massacrator in 3rd. That is only 15, and then 12, 10, 8. That's only 23 points. Swing, 22 points swing in terms of everything else. Hello, Staber. Long time no see. The Wicked still just... Oh, he might have just lost touch. He might have just lost touch there. It's going to be close to see whether or not he's going to have enough enough to hold on to the second. I don't think he is. I think he just made an error and is going to pay for it. Again, well and truly gone. X90G is ahead of Lucky High One now then. Lucky High One made a mistake on turn 4, and I think X90G will be thanking that one on the entire way home. Boba had got himself within a second of Chris. It looks like Boba's trying to make his way back through the grid. Nikita, however, is looking very, very firm for a championship title, given the fact that if he ends in the top 5, that is enough. By Boba half a second behind Chris now as well. We'll see if he can get himself back through the group. Realistically, the only championship fight left on offer. Unless something wild is going to happen at the front. And that's going to be a case that, if that's going to be the case, it's going to have to be Nakuza causing it. Nikita is about to blow by him on the inside of turn 1, and that is a little bit of a lock-up for Nikita, but it won't matter in the end. He's up into 1st, and good luck stopping him now. You're going to need it. If Boba's going to win this title, he's going to need every little bit of luck he can possibly muster, because now Nikita's hit the front, and there's no stopping him from here. We continue on, 1 lap 6 of 29 here. A little bit of battle spread out around the track at the moment. Boba is ahead of Chris, now up into 9th. A long, long way back for him. He needs a safety car. Probably a little bit more than a safety car for anything to for any chance to survive now. We'll see if there's going to be anything in this, in this charge back up the grid. I want to know what the hell happened at the start, to be honest with you. Jaguar and Boba were down in 50s by the time we even hit the end of the start-finish barriers, basically. The end of the pit lane. We hadn't even hit that yet by the time those two had collided, and Jaguar's already out of the race by that point. He didn't even get 100 yards down the line. It is well and truly the most bizarre start I've ever seen. Jagsy in, MCFC in, both the guys that started on the softs in early. Continue on. 8/10 of a second lead for Nikita over Nakuzda. With Massacrator after that, 6/10 of a second behind is the Racing Bull. Then Wicked Prophet is currently in 4th after the pit stop for Jagsy early in this race. On lap 7 onto the hard tyres off the softs. We'll see if there's going to be any sort of changes. It looks like Nakuzda has dropped outside the second mark now. And if there's any sort of sign that this is not going to go Boba Fett's way, I think we may have just found that Nakuzda's going to need something special to fight this back. Let's see, lucky I won. Still on the back of X90G, who's actually closed the gap down to the Wicked Prophet fairly significantly. That gap is now under 2 seconds. Boba Fett is up in the 7th after two pit stops early on. So we'll see where he comes out in regards to everything else. He is 5 seconds off the back of Lucky High One, however. That time is going to have to come down fairly significantly. There's only 3 people actually within a second at the moment, and 2 of them are at the front. Nakuzda's brought it back down. He has managed to get himself back within that second margin, with Massacrator behind that. The other one, Lucky High One against X90G for 5th. Everyone else just outside of that second margin. The Aston Martins are about to go to war with each other. The interesting scenario now is if Nakuzda can get himself close enough to Nikita, things could get fairly interesting. Looks like X90G and Lucky High One are going to go ahead of Wicked Prophet, who's now into the pits on lap 8. Beginning of lap 9 technically. On to hards he goes then. We're back to the front with 3 cars very much in the mix to try and lead this race. Nakuzda not having a good turn 4 in the slightest. But he is still there and thereabouts. Massacrator's really putting the effort on him. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. I think that's a McLaren. It is a McLaren, and I think it's Wicked Prophet who has a bit of a problem. Prezema on the inside of Frosty 1. And Prezema's going to squeeze him out. Prezema is up into 10th then. Points again for the leading constructors team. And at this point in time between Boba and Prezema. Massacrator in 3rd. Lucky High One in 5th. That's only good enough for the 25. They need 32 coming into the day. One of them realistically has to win this race. Max you can get in any one session is 43. They needed 33 realistically to make this happen. Massacrator into the pits then. On lap 10, on the beginning of lap 10. End of lap 9, beginning of lap 10 here. Okay, I1 and X9G stay out again, and X9G sees himself into the top 3 for the first time. Boba is still there and thereabouts. He is second now, off the back of Lucky High One. I still have absolutely no idea what the hell happened at the start of this race, to be honest with you. As Wicked Perfect out behind Massacrator then. Out 7 seconds off the back of Massacrator. Frosty One and Pazemu comfortably towards the back. AJ hasn't pit yet, and then the entirety of the top 7 hasn't pit either. So half the grid have, half the grid haven't technically. Alright, 7/10 of a second is the difference between Jagsy and Massacrator. Don't forget, Jagsy was in the top 4 as well. Jagsy pit a lot earlier than the rest of the group. So it's Massacrator ahead, behind Jagsy, and then Anonymous in front of them. So Jagsy is going to get himself a little bit of slipstream off the LP. Yakuza just over a second out now. Yakuza is a second out on the Kia, but he does have DRS for now. The problem is, it is well and truly for now, he is very much losing ground on Nikita. They look to try and keep this going. DRS will open again. Jagsy is past Anonymous. Anonymous is trying to overtake left, right, and centre. Both goes Jagsy and Massacrator on through. Massacrator looking round the outside of Jagsy. Well, it can only be an actual on-track position here. These two battling it out. Massacrator is back ahead of Jagsy. Or is he? DRS will open for the Aston Martin. The Racing Bull not so much. On the outside though, gets a significantly better exit of the Racing Bull, and Massacrator is ahead. Try to get it done in turn 3, we'll get it done in turn 4. Turns out Boba is a long way back now. I do not see a way back into this. He's going to have to hope Nikita pits and then a safety car comes out. That's about the only situation that will help him out. Should in theory put him right beside Nikita if that was to happen. Looks like Nikita is into the pits. So, if there was ever a time for Boba to have a safety car to make this interesting, this would be it. Otherwise, this championship is going Nikita's way, and it'll go Nikita's way very quickly, and Boba is going to two-wheel over, two-wheel under into the pit, so he's going to come in as well. Yakuza and Lucky Highwood. The Williams have well and truly got themselves a nice little stint here. Staying out again on the medium tyres. Anonymous just picked up 10 for speeding in the pit lane. Massacrator will take the lead of this race. Nikita is behind Jagsy. Yes, and Nikita is behind Jagsy here, and the Massacrator in front of that. Massacrator done a good job here. The undercut has worked fairly significantly. Looks like Nikita's going after him. Nikita's going to have a real good go at Jagsy in the near future here. 0.3 of a second down this straight. Won't go for it in the end of sector 2. Absolutely will take a pot shot at him by the time we hit turn 1. I can promise you that much. You know he's got to hit the front. as soon as he can do. Jagdi moves to break the toe. Problem is, you're not really going to do too much of that down the back straight here. Into the home straight is where you want to realistically try and break the toe, but unfortunately for him, breaking the toe against Nikita is not going to really do an awful lot. Nakuda into the pits now then. Lucky High One stays out again. Nikita is ahead of Jagdi. So Nikita up in a second, but he is 1.6 off the back of Massacre. There is a chance of Massacre to throw a spanner in the works here. I wonder if that's what's going to happen here in Nikita looking for purple sectors. Wicked Prophet and X9G are coming out together. They're fighting it out. X9G at the outside exit. X90G had the position. Up in the 6th then. Nakuda is 4 seconds up the road. And then Jagdi an extra 4 seconds up the road from that. The undercut proving extremely massive right now. We almost hit the halfway point of this race. Massacre only half a second up on Nikita, as Nikita has well and truly just started to blow everyone out of the water at this point. Boba is 3/10 of a second off the back of Chris. Chris on the soft tyres, Boba on the hards. In comes Lucky High One for a pit stop then. I wonder if the interesting call here is to one stop this for the Williams tyre, for the Williams anyway. Went from medium to hard, it is doable. I wonder if they want to one stop and try and get themselves all the way to the end now without much of a problem. Like AJ was having a bit of a problem down in the final couple of corners, which will allow for Tichy to start to catch up. Boba is ahead of Chris down into turn 1. Boba up in the 9th then. 6 seconds ahead of Lucky High One. 6 seconds behind Lucky High One is a long way to catch up. I don't think he does it. Boba in the process of potentially needing an absolute miracle after whatever the hell the start was. And I don't think it's one that's going to get answered. Even if it was the scenario right now, when Nikita had a problem, Nikita DNF'd, for example, that would still require, what, top 2? I think it was, we said earlier on, with the DNF, he would still need to, he would still technically, with countback, have a lead of 16 points. Can't get 16 points from anything lower than second, and Massacre has no fight for Nikita at all! As Nikita hits the front again. It looks like Nikita is going to have this one all wrapped up at this point. Let's see what Tichy and AJ are going out. AJ into the pits then. AJ into the pits early. Well, into the pits in the middle of this race. Tichy in front. Prezemu in front. Frosty One out in front of him now as well. He's struggling to get much going. We've got a couple. Well, actually have nobody within a second. Apart from Lucky High One now, who's finally getting a little bit of a move on against MCFC for 7th place. There's a long way back off the back of Wicked Prophet. It was probably a long, long way from actually making any moves further forward. I wonder if, yeah, Wicked Prophet's going to be wondering how he ended that far back off the back of that X90G. Nikita putting in the fastest lap of the race, and There is no world Massacrator can keep up with this. Absolutely no chance in the slightest of keeping up with this. With Nikita here. The fastest lap galore. Don't forget, Anonymous in 11th currently has the 10-second time penalty, so anyone in the top 10 is well and truly safe. Unless they are to make a mistake. Lucky High One, the only one within arm's reach of anybody on the track right now at the halfway point. Should still have another round of pit stops to go. Given the fact that the board at the beginning, the Amazon graphics showed us that we well and truly are going to have a 2-stop, and for some reason even potentially a 3-stop, even though I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen for anybody. More 1-stop versus 2-stop. We've got a couple of guys in that position, actually one of them on the screen right now, being Lucky High One, trying to go to the end on these hard tires, I assume. Him and the Kuz doing the Williams. AJ potentially as well. Looks like Tichy now within half a second of Anonymous as well. Looking like we might have a little bit of a battle there. See if they can get a position. It's Tichy right at the end of the straight against Anonymous, who has decided that the wide part of the track is the best line. I'm not entirely sure you want to be following that. Lucky High One is going to have a go down the home straight against MCFC here now then. He goes to the outside, looks to the outside, keeps it going on the outside, had a wheel in, tries to switch it back. The MCFC has done an excellent job of defending that. But will it last? It doesn't look like it. That is an excellent exit for Lucky High One, and that will seal the deal. Even with a little bit of smoke coming out the car. Lucky High One up in a 7th. Has to catch up a whole 4 seconds, however, to challenge a Wicked Prophet. What has just been a very, very weird race, if I'm completely honest with you. Pretty much from start to finish. The Constructors' battle already dead in the water. MCFC outside a second on Lucky High One now. The Lucky High One is going to try and barrel his way towards the Wicked Prophet as much as he can. As we are now on 18 with the leading pack. Massacre of 3 seconds off the back of Nikita. That is a untenable situation from here for Massacre to try and win. It is 18 points to the matter for a Massacrator though. Lucky High One not scoring enough. If it is second place, it also has to be third place for if a Massacrator gets second, Lucky High One needs third. That'll be totaling to 33 points. And then if Boba scores anything whatsoever, that'll be the nail in the coffin of trying to win the championship. So Boba needs to end outside the top 10. If Massacrator and Lucky High One wish for something to happen from here. It does not look like we're going to get an awful lot happening from here. No one really looking for moves. No one really getting close enough for moves. Maybe Nakuda has finally put an extra gear in the car and figured it out. So I think he's trying to keep himself, well, trying to make a move on Jagsy here for a podium spot. Also, Boba trying to go after MTFC. And more to the point where I said that he can't score any realistically. He's about to score some extra. Here comes Nakuda on Jagsy. And it's up into second technically now for Nakuda as Massacrator pit. So Nakuda's going to take second for a little while. Don't forget, I think Nakuta's going to the end. At least attempting to anyway. So this is where it gets interesting. He is currently 10 seconds ahead of Nikita. Massacrator went in about 4.5 seconds up. And will leave the pits roughly. Let's have a look. We go to the leader. What? Roughly about 17 seconds up on Massacrator right now. So it looks like about a rough total of just over 20 seconds for a pit stop here. That would put Nikita 11 seconds off the back of Nakuda if Nakuda tried the one stop here. Which makes things very, very interesting to see if Nikita wins this race, or whether or not Nakuda has enough time to hang on. Even if he is indeed going to go for that lucky high one as well, remember, on the one stop. Potential one stop anyway. In comes Jagdi. It won't be third for lucky high one, but it will give him an absolute glorious opportunity of getting as close to that as possible. He is doing the one stop, but he is comfortably behind Nakuda. Well, he's going to try and do the one stop. Massacrator past Lucky High One. That is teammates going past each other. I would assume that I would very much assume that Jagdi's going to get out ahead of Anonymous and company. Chris is into the pits now as well, so he is going to be about 13 seconds clear of the pack. We'll see where Chris is going to come out in due course. But Lucky High One off the back of Massacrator right now. Those two have got to work together. Wicked Prophet next in sight. If they can work together here, there is a potential that they both might be able to snatch something. There is a yellow flag. And it is for Frosty One. Is there any damage to the car? There is. No safety car or anything being called out, but there is barely anything, well, actually there's barely anything wrong with that car. I wonder if there's anything side pod maybe related that might be giving him a bit of problems. It didn't look like he was untouched anyway. Either way, Chris is going to get a really nice run at him sooner rather than later. Into the pits for X90G. Okay, I1 is not keeping with Massacrator well in the slightest here. Massacrator has gone past Wicked Prophet. So Massacrator is through on Wicked. Up into the top three. Lucky High One forgot where the corner was. That is Boba Fett on the back of Lucky High One. Both of them in the same position. Neither of them have pit a second time yet. If they are at all. Boba is ahead of Jagdi at the moment. So for Lucky High One and for Massacrator as well. Nikita probably will have to come in again. The problem is he's going to come in and out ahead of Massacrator. The question is what the gap is going to be out between Nikita and Nakuda for the lead of the race itself. Here we go, we're going to get our answer now. We are going to get our answer now. Nikita into the pits. Hasn't even gone into the box yet. It is now into the box. Nakuda will drive on through. It is soft for Nikita the entire way home. In and out very quickly. Is he going to beat out Massacrator? It is going to be close. He's got himself up and running. He is out ahead of him. Can't be anything more than a second. But he is ahead of him, and that will definitely put any dent in Massacrator's chances. The question now sits with Nakuta. If he is one-stopping, is 13 seconds enough time? Is 13 seconds realistically enough time to stop Nikita winning this race? My guess is the answer is no. Soft versus hards. Already cut down a second. It's one hards as well by this point. On lap 22, he's going to have to pray that the clock starts ticking down a lot quicker than this. Don't forget, there's 7 laps left after this. We've done through 22. We're about to go on to 23 of 29, so 7 to go. For Nakuta, who's got 11-second advantage. That gap is whistling away already. Massacre left in the dust by Nikita in the end. Lucky I1 currently sits himself in 4th. He'll take that. Problem is, behind him is Boba's in 5th. Here comes Jagsy. Look for a move there. Looks again. Goes for a second. Goes for a third. Oh, we may have a little bit of contact between Boba and Lucky I1. Lucky I1 and Jagsy going at it yet again through turn 3. Lucky I1 pulled off the line. Jagsy tries to get a little bit of slipstream. Had the inside line on Boba. But as we've seen before, the inside line is not what matters. It's the exit on the outside that will. So Boba will hang on against Jagsy for now. Jagsy going around the outside. At the hairpin, down the bottom of the hill. Again, Boba does just about enough to hold on. But he isn't done yet. Jagsy will fight it around the outside again. Switches underneath. That might be brilliant. That might be the best way he could have got by. Because he is through. It took him a long time. But he is finally through on Boba. Boba still needing a literal miracle here. And quite frankly, he is out of time for that miracle to start taking place. Nikita setting the fastest lap at all. Of all the race so far. None of them are on 11 laps old hards right now. Probably safe in 10th place for the moment in time. Lucky I1 and Jagsy are going at it, and Lucky I1 is going to suffer at the hand of the Aston Martin now. And that means the Aston Martin is back up into the top 4. Boba is in the gravel! Boba is in the gravel! And X90G is running up on him! Nothing going for X90G, and Boba, well, we were talking about miracles needing to happen. They're just extending the length of what that miracle needs to be. You'd have to suspend your disbelief now if this is going to happen. He's left himself too little to do here, Boba. And also, probably not entirely his fault after the incident 100 yards off the line. I still don't really know what happened with. By the looks of it, Jaguar doesn't know what happened either, and he was involved. X90G right on the back of Boba. This should be easy work for X90G, to be honest with you. X9G going to the outside. X9G looking for a way past on Boba. Boba locks up. Boba locks up quite heavily. X9G at the exit on the outside of turn 3 and had the move done on Boba. X9G will have to defend straight away and does so fairly easily. I mean, if you want to be part of next season, I guess feel free to re-download the game. Not entirely sure the plans for next season at the moment, though. Boba 1 second off the back of X90G now. That is probably game over for Boba in terms of hanging on the 6th. Jagdi is well off, 1.6 off the back of Massacre. Cleared Lucky High One and then some. Nikita now has a 6-second advantage to close down on Nakuzu. May have done the right strategy here. That one stop may have worked. It is very much running out of time. 4 to go. Needs to be 1.5 seconds a lap quicker for the rest of the race and then make an overtake as well. There we go, down the wall turn 4. Nikita is closing it in, 5.5 at the moment. Pit stop for Boba. That might put an end to any chance of good points for him. Wicked should go through. MCSC should go through. Anonymous should as well. He's going to come out a decent chunk of the way behind Anonymous, who's all the way through turn 1. All the way through turn 2 by the time Boba gets himself up and running again. That's Chris in the background. So Boba's 7 seconds off the back of Anonymous. The question is whether or not Boba can do enough to get 9th. And the gap now sits at about 5 seconds. The gap at the beginning of the lap was 6. We made the comment, I made the comment saying he needed to be 1.5 seconds a lap quicker. He currently is not 1.5 seconds a lap quicker. Nakuza has this fairly comfortably in the back of this stand. 33.1 on the last lap. Nikita to the line now. 33.1, 31.9. It is only 1.2 seconds of a lap in hand for Nikita, and that is not enough. It's not close to enough. With 3 to go, 4.5 seconds. 1.5 second to go a lap now turned into 1.6 seconds a lap. He needs to be quicker, and the chances of that happening on those tyres are non-existent. I really struggle to see how anyone's going to stop Nakuza winning the final race of the season. Well, 4 seconds to the little gap now as well. All right, 4.1. Yeah, that gap is not even coming down at this point. It's going up. It's not happening for Nikita here in the slightest. I think he's realized it as well. He's just running out of steam. Nakuza will be able to see this one over the line fairly easily now. Unless there's a mistake coming, which I highly doubt. Same goes for X90G with Lucky High One. X90G trying to sneak his way into the top 5. I don't really think he's going to be able to do it. Anonymous is going to be just about enough ahead of Chris to stay in the top 10 in the end. We are very much heading to the end now. 2 to go. 1.5 if you're the leader of this race. It's now a 3.5 second advantage. It just isn't happening. The tyre would have to go pop at this point. Come straight off the rim, realistically, for that to even be possible. It just isn't happening for Nikita tonight. It isn't happening to win the race. He would have loved to win the race and the championship and crown off what has been an impeccable season for him. But he isn't going to crown it off with a win. He will crown it off with a championship, however. Almost on one last lap. He is just sliding all over the place. I don't really think he cares. He just, well, quite frankly, doesn't have to finish this race at this point, because Boba Fett has not got anywhere near second. Absolutely nowhere near second, not even close. X90G should be able to get a lucky high one in the end. I think he might be able to sneak his way into the top 5. We've got 1 lap to go here then. And the championships are pretty much decided. The constructors decided after basically 20 seconds max. After the incident between Boba and Jaguar dragged them both to the back. So it looks like Boba and Prozemu will take 1. It's little solace for Boba Fett though, who would have much rather had the bigger one. Would have much rather have had the Drivers' Championship. He led for about 6 weeks. He gave himself a decent opportunity. The problem is, that decent opportunity was not going to hang on for much longer when Nikita was putting win together. It was about 5 or 6 in a row in the middle of the season to make sure that it was only going to go one way. Last week, Nikita didn't really do too much. Boba kept it alive, kept it within 15 points, but in the end, that's just been deemed a little bit too much. 1 step too far for Boba Fett in the end, who hasn't really recovered tonight. But it has been one-way traffic, and the championship is gonna go the way of the Kick Sauber. But first, Nakuda wins in Bahrain, and then Nikita, the Ukrainian, in the Sauber, wins the Drivers' Championship here in Bahrain. It's only been going one way for the last few weeks, and now it's solidified. Nikita will win the big one. Boba will have to take solace in winning the Constructors. Massacre gets third. X9G beats out Lucky High One to the line in the end. Wicked Prophet's going to beat out Jagdi after Jagdi has fallen off the cliff. Boba has managed to get himself in front of NCFC as well, which doesn't really matter, doesn't do any real harm either. He's actually got himself ahead of Jagdi to get an extra position up in the 7th. But again, it's just 1 step too far for Boba. NCFC 7th, Anonymous isn't going to end in the top 2. Oh yeah, it's a mistake on the final corner for Chris, has cost himself the top 10 finish. Anonymous will sneak it by the skin of his teeth. Chris gets 11th, Tichy gets 12th. Unless there's some absolute catastrophic failure in the last corner. Looks like AJ is going to come over in 14th. Prozemu got 50th, 13th in the end. Looks like then the Frosty one is the last one over the line on what had been a really bad day at the office for him. I was going to say Jagdi DNF the session, but that is not true. There you go. Right at the end of the season, it is only going one way. Nikita is season 19 Drivers' Champion of the World in ALR. Boba and Prozemu will have to take the Constructors. Boba would have liked 1 step further and try and take both. But at the end of the day, it wasn't to be. Beaten out by his Ukrainian compatriot. Nikita is the headline star. Nakuda will win the race, but Nikita wins the championship. And that is how I'll end it. What a season it's been. Season 19 in the books for ALR. We will be back in due course. Few weeks time for season 20, I believe. Until then, on behalf of the F1 crew in ALR, peace.